that my grandmother passed, that threw me off. Something inside of me broke. Family, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emanuel, and I'm back today with another Let's Dish Wednesday, honey. Okay, now we're gonna talk about OCD. Okay,
Let's talk about OCD. Let's talk about you and me. Why am I doing that? I was like doggy paddle.
Okay, let's get back to it. Okay. Now, before we continue, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that bell notification button so you can get more videos. Okay, so what we finna talk about today is OCD and what triggers that, honey. Let's just get it right in there. Let's just dive right in. Okay, the water's cold, but we finna go in. Okay, we going in. Okay, so my mama is a clean woman. Okay, like things have to be in their place. Like if you take something from somewhere, it has to go back in its spot. As she would say, don't let this thing sleep out of its original place. Okay, my grandmother was the same. She liked her house a specific way. So I grew up seeing these women, very clean. They got cleanliness on a lock. Okay, now that's not what onset it, right? It's mentally inside there, but as children, we don't really care about being clean. Okay, like we gotta play, we got schoolwork, we gotta impress people. We have a long list of things, basically, that we as kids got to do. It's just really important. If we don't do it, the world would end. Okay, so I thought you would think that would have been the reason why, I got OCD. Not really, no. Now, for other people, it's been engraved in them when they were children. I saw my mom, my grandmother being clean, all right, and that didn't onset. I was, surface clean, but not like how I am right now, all right. Now, OCD is triggered by trauma and fear. Ooh. The fear comes in different ways, okay? For everybody, it's different. For me, I was scared of my grandmother dying, okay? Now, it wasn't like a deep fear, like a crippling fear, but it was still in the back of my mind lingering, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it, all right? But every time I would get like a phone call from Dominica, I would, that'd be the first thing I think of, okay? And that's not good energy to have, because what you think on basically happens, okay? When my mom got the phone call from my uncle, I think it was, one of my family members, that my grandmother passed, that threw me off. Something inside of me broke. Like, something inside of me broke. I don't know what happened to me, but I lost it. Because, I don't know my dad. My grandmother filled so many voids. My mom was a young mom, even though at 21, in her 20s and whatever. That's still considered young, right? And, my grandmother would fill in and, give inspirational speeches and, talk to me, when I really needed talking to. When she died, I took that on. We had to go back for a funeral and whatever. And I'm so accustomed to seeing her sitting down on her bed and listening to her radio with her back door open and, just the breeze coming in. You just seeing her enjoying God's day, okay? And I went in her room. First off, I went in the yard. And we normally say, woo! No reply. Even though, your grandmama did, so you're not supposed to say that. But I'm just like, somebody could be playing a trick on me. I was in denial. In denial first, and then the fear hit, and then something in my mind snapped. So, yeah. Went in the house, walked around the house, just her presence is just not there no more. You know what I mean? And then go in her room, back door is shut, the room is just musky, you know. It's just not the same, you know what I mean? And I couldn't help it, I broke down and I cried. I cried like a baby. Knelt down by her bed and I was just telling her I'm so sorry, because you know, my mom sent me down there to take care of her a few years back, and I didn't do a good job because I was going through some mental things, you know what I mean, because I thought I wasn't needed in that new country, and I wasn't me. I lost me again. I was supposed to take care of you and I didn't. I'm very sorry, please forgive me. But how could she forgive me beyond the grave? Like, she can't. I beat myself up for years, and ever since I left down there from the funeral, nothing was the same. I was more rigid when it came to association. I felt like the person who I had a very deep connection with, who understood me even when I didn't understand myself, okay, was gone. So like, I lost all sense of me. So that's traumatic for me, okay? And my things, I was like in a nesting phase, even though I wasn't pregnant, and I was just constantly cleaning. Like, that was just my way of, you know, coping. And I realized it ever since then that in order for me to cope with a certain situation, if I'm pissed off, I would clean. Anyways, my grandma was a stickler for cleanliness, especially when it came to beds. Like, you had to fix your bed in the morning, okay? You have to sweep your house in the morning. You have to sweep by the side of the road. Like, my neighbors look at me like probably if I'm crazy because I sweep the sidewalk. Okay, like, I have fun sweeping the sidewalk. It's just my thing, all right? And nobody really does that other than like the really, really old people. But I was raised up by an older person, so it's just engraved in me, if you see where I'm coming from now, right? I'm accustomed to it, didn't know that it was being engraved, but it was subconsciously engraved in me, all right? And then through fear and trauma, it manifested itself, okay? Now, it got even deeper after, you know, talking to my father, who I've never talked to, when I was 15, and he told me some things that a father shouldn't tell a daughter. Where did that, you know, where did that Jersey Shore type talking come from? Years later, my father, right? Now, it's not just fear of not being accepted, but, you know, going through the trauma of the words that were said to me, you know, it's like a second wave. Okay, if you ever watch like Pacific Rim, you know, that first wave and then that second wave, and I mean, it's just, it gets worse and worse and worse, right? Then now, that manifested itself in so many different ways, all right? But mostly the cleaning. Then when I found out that I was pregnant, you know, it's supposed to be a happy time, it's supposed to be a joyous time, but we were going through some stuff, all right? It felt like it was us against the world, basically. And when we told, you know, our family that I was pregnant, the response wasn't good, you know, got doors shut in our face and stuff like that, got people laughing, you know, even got people cussing at us. So it wasn't ideal. You know, you expect people to be happy and whatever, because we're grown people, we're working people. It's not like we're teenagers and whatever, but yeah. All right, so that was a fear of rejection. It came about, and then having the trauma of doors slammed in your face or people laugh at you and say that's what they're good for. When it became close to like nesting, you know, when mothers feel like, okay, the kid is coming and you have to like clean and get things ready and whatever, it was excessive for me. After having my daughter, you know, that situation was traumatic because I was supposed to push, been pushing for an hour and a half, you know, vomiting blood, and she didn't come out, you know what I mean? I had to do an emergency C-section, and just imagine going through that. You know, the nurses and the doctors, they were not very nice. You know, they were very mean. They were very coarse, very harsh. The midwife that I had, she was young, and she was not nice at all. Like, oh, the stories I have about that, but that's for another time. Anyways, that was a fear of mine because I've been hearing, you know, people die from labor and stuff like that, and that was a fear of mine. Yeah, the trauma of a C-section, you know, not being able to walk how I used to, you know, like not being able to do what I'm accustomed of doing. That same day that I had the C-section, I had to walk to the nurses center, you know, which is a few feet away, okay, and they gave me pills to go and, you know, fall asleep, but there was a girl in the room with me that was hemorrhaging and nobody was hearing her. And I couldn't leave the girl there. Like, I knew how it felt being in labor. That was not nice, so I had to try and get her help. Went to the nurse's station, got cussed out. Instead of them telling me thank you, you know, for getting the girl some help, you know, I got cussed out. So, you know, that was just like trauma upon trauma, and, you know, yeah. After my daughter and I went home, you know, it manifested itself, and before she bathed, I would lay everything on the bed, like her onesie, she had to wear onesie, her Pampers, her powder, her cream, you know, everything. Go in the bathroom, lay out her soaps, her wash rag, do her water a certain way. And, you know, I've had people laugh at me, you know, and say, take pictures, send it to people overseas, and laugh at me and say, do you have to do this every single time you're going to bathe the child, or every single time you have to go out with the child? Do you always have to set out all her things like this? But that was my way of coping with things, all right? I had a person who left a comment, OCD is taboo amongst black people, that video. And that person was saying that her own is intrusive thoughts, and she had thoughts of hurting herself. Now, when I was younger, you know, after my grandmother died, I had those thoughts a lot. A lot. Like, isolation was my best friend. I felt like if I'm around people, I was stifling, I was drowning. So I needed to be by myself. And I'm like, well, if I'm by myself, I might as well just, like, you know, get it over with. Like, why am I even here? You know what I mean? Nobody's checking up on me. Nobody's, like, making sure that I'm good or whatever. So it'd be better if I'm not here, right? And I found different ways of channeling my anger, like through art, through modeling, you know. And then through those things, I got, like, people to talk to, people who basically were worse off than me, okay? They were in, the living situations they were in was not conducive, it was not good at all. And I was like, you think you had it bad, but you don't have it that bad, okay? So I ended up, you know, trying to mentally motivate other people when myself, I was at bupkis. Like, there was, how am I gonna motivate other people and I ain't even got nothing for myself? Like, you just thought about killing yourself, like, the other day when I was a teenager. It was crazy, right? And just hearing people saying that they want to, like, you know, take themselves out of this world, I felt very sad, because I'm like, why? And you're such a cool person. And they would reassure me that I'm a cool person. And I'm like, you think I'm cool? Really? Like, you know what I mean? So perspective of your situation can make you feel like it's worse off than it actually is. You need to associate, like, you need to take yourself out of your comfort zone in order to heal from certain levels of OCD, because if it's really strong to the point where you think like you're gonna kill yourself, let me be the voice of reason for you, okay? Try and find some type of way that is constructive to channel your anger, your frustration, your discontent of this world. Like, I found art, I found modeling, and those things I pretty much was good at. Okay, so I'm sure there are other things that you are awesome at. You just need to find it, okay, and channel that frustration into that. And trust me, you're gonna propel so far. Okay, so do not wallow in that pit. Okay, like, you know the difference between a pig and a sheep when it comes to mud? If a sheep falls in mud, okay, and it's hard for that sheep to get out, that sheep is gonna bleep, 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 bleep until somebody comes to help it or it gets out. Okay, a pig will stay in that mud because it likes it, it's accustomed to it. You are the sheep, okay? This slump, this pit that you feel like you're in, okay, yeah, it was caused by fear, it was caused by trauma, all right? But don't stay in there because you're not supposed to be there. You're not supposed to wallow in that, okay? Trust me, you're not supposed to stay there. This is your story, your testimony to help somebody else. Like, if I didn't go through it, how would I be able to tell you anything? Everything has a purpose, okay? Now, it's gonna take a little while, but it's alright. It's alright. Just try to figure out what you're good at and channel your frustration, all of that, into that particular thing, okay? Just make sure you're not harming yourself anytime during all of this, okay? Look at all those people who do sports and stuff like that, like motocross and stuff like that. They have a lot of trauma, but they use it and they fuel it into their passion, and look how big they are. There's no telling how big you can be. You are here for a reason, okay? You are here for a reason. All the things that you're going through is for a reason. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that bell notification button so you can get more videos from me. Alright, see you guys in the next one. Later.